Um, what is the best piece of advice that you received while you were thinking about getting into research or looking for your next research opportunity?
Career-wise or just in general?
Both.
Um,
Or let me rephrase that. So, when you were thinking about getting into research, did you have anybody that you went to for advice, and what directions did they point you in?
when I was thinking about, as an undergrad, when I was thinking about getting into research, I really didn't know what it was. And it was very random, but I was doing work study in the union. And my boss there, her husband was a professor in chemistry. And I was telling her that I kind of wanted something related to the medical field. And he introduced me to Dr. LeBears. And she and I had a meeting, and then she hired me as a summer undergrad intern. That was my first taste.
So, so what made you decide that you were interested in the medical field?
So my undergrad is in biochemistry. And for our senior year, we had to do a year of research. But all the research in the department at that time was plants, bacteria, and I didn't see any application to it. So I wanted something that was going to be applicable to humans.
When I say the word networking, what does that make you think of?
Sometimes I'm good with networking. Sometimes I hate it. So it depends on how long the networking event is. For me, I like it if it flows, just having a conversation with someone, talking about general interests as opposed to the forced networking events. It is important. It definitely is important, but I like when you can connect with someone on a different level and then get to the research and collaboration.
So, for an undergraduate student who's maybe thinking, I'm supposed to be networking, but I don't know what to talk about, what would you tell them?
I would tell them don't feel like they have to impress a professor with what they know when networking, but show general interests and just start a conversation, a natural conversation from there.
What is the toughest thing that you've had to overcome in your academic career?
My goodness. Believing in myself. With academia, there's a certain amount of cockiness you kind of have to have, and that comes hard for me. So I do know that I have good ideas, but believing in myself to package it up for a proposal and submit it, that's kind of the hardest thing for me. And then with everything, there's like a little bit of fear, but it's like working through it.
So, for you overcoming those things, was that more something that you just decided for yourself, or did you have other people that you could kind of lean on?
I do have people that I can lean on, and I've heard advice before that, if you're not afraid, you're not growing. Everyone has those fears, just try and work through it. And just having friends in the field and having our venting sessions where we all talk about it and know that everybody's going through the same thing, that helps.
Who has been the most influential person to you, both in the field and outside the field?
I have a few. You want names?
They don't have to be names. They can be just how you know them.
Gotcha.
Professor, family member.
Influential professors. Dr. LeBears was my undergrad, research advisor. And actually, when I met with her through the connection from my work study boss, I just, scheduled a meeting with her. I was prepared and went in and had a good conversation. And actually, when I was talking with her, they had just gotten the grant for their first REU program. And I didn't have the GPA for the requirements for the program, but she was like, I really like you. I see something in you. I'm going to give you a chance. So I'd say she's been a great influence because having someone that believed in me and was there behind me, cheering for me and leading me on, that was very influential. And she still does it to this day.
How did you feel when you were first introduced to research articles?
I didn't have a clue. That is really hard, being, giving a research article and told to, understand it. I can't say that for the first few months that I really got them. Journal club helped a lot because what I didn't get from the article, maybe someone else did. So that was helpful. My niece is actually a chemistry major in college right now, and she had to read a journal article for her class. And she called me and was like, I don't even know what this is. And she couldn't even get past the title. And it was kind of interesting because I got to break the title down for her because part of it was a bacteria strain. And I was like, that's a bacteria strain. And then she was able to get it. So,
do you think that it was just time that helped you kind of figure out or better read the articles, or was it purely on amount of articles that you had read?
I'd say time.
Is public speaking easy for you, and has this changed over time?
I think it comes easier for me than others. I do get nervous at first, but I can sort of work through it. I think I'm a better verbal communicator than a written communicator for me personally. So oral communication does come easier, and it does get better with time.
So I was going to say, is it something that you've worked on through the years and you've seen that kind of pay off?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So do you work with undergraduate students?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what do you look for in an undergraduate student when you're looking to bring one into your group?
Genuine interest. I know it's hard to sort of weed out undergrads, and I talked to other professors about this, but in my department, we have a lot of students that are pre-med, and not to speak against pre-med students, but they have a certain amount of boxes they need to check for their application. So figuring out, is this student really genuinely interested and wants to learn more, or do you just want to check off hours so you can have a cool application for med school?
What has been your most spectacular failure, and what did you learn from it?
I was in grad school for 6 years working on my PhD. That was my most spectacular failure.
That doesn't sound like much of a failure.
Well, it was a failure because when you're in a lab and people come in, start after you and finish before you, that's a failure. At least at the time I felt like a failure. But I wouldn't take anything for the experience now. And at the time, hearing other people like, she's still here, but knowing that I was getting to a bigger goal and I was working toward, I had career aspirations as opposed to, people just rushing through who then after they were finished, didn't know what to do with their PhD, still are trying to figure it out. So I think I'm better off for it.
Students want to know what kind of impact they can have. What impact do you feel that your research
In particular, my research, or just working with students?
But
So research-wise, my impact, I work on cardiovascular disease, and I work at Mississippi State, and Mississippi has the highest rate of cardiovascular disease. They also have the highest rate of renal disease, which also is a contributing factor to cardiovascular disease. So it's pretty cool to know that potentially what I'm researching, the treatments that I'm developing could help make it easier for people with cardiovascular disease. Also, I try to incorporate some of the social aspects and work with public health people in my research. So not just in my box in the lab working with cells, but I'm also, from what I'm learning in the lab, taking it to the public to say, you really do need to change your diet because it does affect everything. And this is why, based on basic science, not just, your doctor telling you don't eat fried foods, it does have an impact. And then also working with students, I enjoy seeing that light bulb moment. And then there's the student that you don't think you're really making an impact with, and they seem to be floundering and just, walking through things, just pacing their way through. And then when they finish, I just recently had this where a student that I was almost going to fire, but I was like, she only has 2 more months, just, let her be. And then she wrote me the sweetest thank you card that was like, me believing in her truly changed, her career, and how she had a traumatic experience at first, and being able to do independent research kind of remotivated her. So that's pretty rewarding.
So for an undergraduate who's thinking about getting involved in research, what's one piece of advice that you would give them?
Make it a priority. Because I have had undergrads come and want experience, but at the same time, they're taking 18 hours and can't commit the time to it. So you should make research. If you want to give it a try, make it a priority for a certain amount of time. If you like it, continue. If you don't, walk away.
How many hours a week do you look for an undergraduate to be involved in research?
I look for 10 to 15 hours a week, because with cell culture, you can't run in, do something for 30 minutes and leave. It takes at least 2 hours at a time to get anything accomplished.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it.
That was great.
Cool. Thank you.
Short and sweet.
Will you say your name and spell it for us?
Okay. LaShan Simpson, LaShansImpson. Cool.
Thank you.